Welcome to Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses just like you. If you have any questions, then please do ask them in the comments of the live feed. And if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook with accountants and business experts just like myself on hand 24/7. During the live session, we'll be running a poll, so please do engage and I'll reveal the results at the end. And make sure you're registered for QuickBooks free annual conference, QuickBooks Connect. Look out for the link in the chat. Taking place virtually this week on the 9th and the 10th of March, the event brings entrepreneurs, small business owners and accountants together to grow, learn, and more importantly, to connect. Okay, so who am I? Well, my name is Aaron Patrick. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you again. I'm a chartered accountant, a certified QuickBooks trainer with a fancy new logo, so don't be afraid to ask me any QuickBooks-related questions in today's session. I also own a state-of-the-art accounting firm called Boffix, which uses the best in cloud technology available to help small businesses get the crucial real-time information they need at their fingertips. If you require accounting advice, payroll, bookkeeping services, and now even QuickBooks Online training, then please do get in touch. We don't want small business to survive, but to thrive. I also have a dedicated QuickBooks YouTube channel called Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chat. So if you need any more QuickBooks news and advice, then why not go over and give that channel a follow. Okay, enough about me and let's focus on today's session. As always, this session is all about you and your burning questions. So if you have any questions, then please use our social channels to get in touch. So while we wait for the first questions to arrive, let's talk about some breaking news or some information that we want to talk about today. And today we're going to go with the fact that it's QuickBooks Connect this very week. So I thought it's best to talk about it, get yourself excited for it, and figure out how to get the most out of QuickBooks Connect. For me, I absolutely love this conference. I always go away from the conference, learn more and more and more each time about my practice, how to push it further, how to get the most out of it, learning not just about QuickBooks and about technology, but also about accounting practice itself, talking to fellow peers, getting to have those making those connections. It's a really worthwhile event. And anyone who follows my channel knows how excited I get for the QuickBooks enhancements that could be coming along this year. And with the USA conference, we've got definitely a lot of information that we could get excited by. So this year we should, and fingers crossed, be getting quite a few enhancements to the product. Hopefully not just MTD related, hopefully related to other aspects. And again, if you think back to what was announced at the QuickBooks Connect in the USA, it should be a huge event and some really tasty enhancement coming our way. So first of all, let's talk about what's actually happening during the event. Well, it's over 2 days, and the first day is for absolutely everyone. And the whole point of that first part is to explore the latest in tools, techs, tips, designs to help business thrive. It all kicks off at 10 a.m. for a game-changing keynotes and innovation spotlights from visionary leaders. Then we move on to some high-impact learning from breakout sessions, workshops, product demos, and a whole lot more. Then we move our attention to day 2, which is really designed for accountants, but everyone's welcome. And it's an accountant-focused keynote that's going to start us off at the beginning from industry leaders, which also includes some high-impact learning from breakout sessions, workshop, products, demos, and more, just like day number 1. And it all finishes at 2 p.m. So that's 2 full days jam-packed of goodies. So do hope to see you there. Now, unfortunately, this event is going to be virtual this year, as you kind of expect with everything that's going on. But not to worry, I've got some top tips for you for attending a virtual event and getting the absolute most out of it. So first of all, one of the key tips I would explain to anyone looking to go virtual and go to their conference virtually is to disconnect as much as you possibly can from your real life. And this is probably going to be the most difficult tip and difficult element that I need to start with. But the truth is, even if you travel to a conference, your work and home life follow you just remotely. Now you're attending a conference remotely, your work and home life are just behind the door. So try your best to block off your calendar, set your email out of office mode, and let others know in your house that you'll be focused on learning. Just like an in-person event, those responsibilities will distract you, but with some clear communication, you can carve out a space that really does help you focus. And it's amazing how much of a difference that will make. So please do try and find a way to be able to block it out for you to make the most out of the conference itself. Change of environments. Well, if you get the chance, it's still challenging to go to places even when things are all kind of still a bit open in the air. But if you can, do try and get out the house when attending this virtual conference. If you've got a chance, maybe head to your office or maybe to a local coffee shop down the street with good Wi-Fi, or maybe just a temporary conference room somewhere. If you have a neighbor, maybe ask them if you can, if they're out of town, if you can watch their space in exchange for a place to work. You really want to try, if you best you can, to get yourself out of your normal office environment, your normal kind of Zoom call environment, and try and find a new space, a new area for you to be able to engage in. The changes to scenery will help you get your mind in the right space for learning, as you won't be looking around for the home chores when you think about doing stuff. Also, while on the event itself, try best as possible to interact. Another way to to be attentive is to interact during the sessions. If there's a chat or a Q&A feature, then please do try and engage with it and with the other attendees or presenters. As a frequent virtual presenter, nothing brings me more joy than seeing a lively chat room. This is something that is hard to recreate in personal event, as you're usually limited to only chatting with the person next to you, if you're allowed at all. So take advantage of it. Get involved in those chat elements. Try and engage in conversation with people. Try and join in with the conversation that's there. You'll definitely find a lot of benefits out of it. And it's also a good way of bouncing off elements that come through. Maybe the presenters presented you something you're not 100% sure of. Put that information into the chat room. Either that presenter can re-go over that element for you, or someone in the chat, I'm sure, will jump in and help you as you need to. Another option to think about is get connected, just as the conference is itself. I've always said that learning is an active team sport. You learn more when you're actively involved and you have a team. Attending a virtual conference can feel very isolating. If at all possible, try and get other colleagues to attend in the same conference or like-minded friends. You could even think about maybe doing a watch along as well as a group. That way, we've seen the last conference, the conference before, have huge success for people getting to know one another, understanding and finding new friends going that way. You can coordinate schedules and circle back each day after a quick Zoom or in-person debrief, and this will help you accountable to attend the sessions and offer you some perspectives and insights on any sessions you couldn't attend. If you hear of any interesting session or of a colleague or attended, you can try and view it on demand later. And speaking of a group, I also have some tips on how to network as well. So the difference between an in-person event and a virtual event is we don't get that opportunity to interact with one another. So networking can be completely alienating if you're not careful. So one of the things you need to know before you go into there is how to identify your network goals. If you set yourself a clear goal for exactly what you want to get out of the session, what you're looking for, that's going to help you find like-minded people. So always go into these sessions understanding exactly what you want out of it. Also, to help you with networking, try and engage and participate in those discussions we talked about, not just for your own benefit of learning, but also to engage and to build that network rapport with yourself. The quickest way to stay visible during a virtual event is to actively engage and participate in any activities they've lined up as well. I remember back to last year, there were some opportunities to do virtual photos and all manner of information and opportunity and activities there. Try and engage with as many of them as you possibly can. Use the opportunity to build a small community. Utilize a private messaging feature in the event platform to engage with other attendees on the side. Unlike in-person events where you're not allowed to have private conversation during presentation, virtual summits don't have that restriction. So it gives you that opportunity to chat and talk and have that opportunity when you're there. QuickBooks Labs, which is my podcast we run on our channel, is all about putting that great community together. So that might be a good place for you to start. Share the presentation pre and post event on social media. If you publicize your presentation on social media and other platforms, then you may even be able to think about putting maybe a vlog together or two. When sharing on social media, be sure to use event-specific hashtags to reach more people interested in the event. Social media is an effective channel to share your takeaways after the event has ended, and you can tag in new connections and encourage them to share insights they've gained during the summit too. I'll be doing a debrief on all my social channels, so why not connect over to that? And also, if you've got anything, I'll be more than happy to share them as well. The best thing about these events is those instant reactions, understanding exactly what's just been announced. If QuickBooks are to announce some game-changing technology, then we all want to be talking about it, having that chatter, giving our opinions to one another, and social media can be the best place for that. Also, don't forget that the keynote itself is not just about you guys just attending and enjoying it, but we've got to be excited by what keynotes are on offer. So I thought the final bit of today's kind of start of the session would be to talk about what panels I'm most excited for. So we've got some really good highlights this year. Stephen Bartlett will be talking about life's lessons from a real life dragon. And if you've ever caught any of the episodes of Diary of a CEO, then I'm pretty sure this is a session not to be missed. Really excited about that one. We've got fellow ASSI expert Judith Dovegale talking about all things MTD. We've got Zoe and Joe from the Six Figure Bookkeeping giving us insights in how to sell profitable services. I've got my co-host on QuickBooks Labs, Ash, talking all about QuickBooks tips. We've got fellow certified UK trainers, Katie, Ross and Jackie, so other certified trainers which we mentioned, and they're talking about QBO, QuickBooks Online, Making Tax Digital, and what's new in QuickBooks Online, respectively. We've got the legend himself, fellow ASSI expert Cole Leader, on all about how to retain and with great talent, and it can't be more appropriate than it is at the moment. And even myself flying the ASSI expert flag for a live session of ASSI expert right there in the conference itself. And there's so much more that I would want to bring to here, but the bottom line is there's pretty much going to be something for absolutely everyone, and a show that really shouldn't be missed. So please do keep subscribed to this channel and the future ASSI experts, as we'll be discussing what's been announced during some of these sessions. And also, if you have any further questions, it's going to be a great place for you to ask those questions live to some of our experts in the following weeks. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you don't miss ASSI expert. There's a little bit of a mini roundup. And don't forget my personal channels as well. QuickBooks Labs, my podcast will be going live straight after the event for our instant reactions. We're going to have a debrief of all the latest announcements and everything that's going on. So please do get involved with it if you can. And now over to the best part of the show by far. This part of the show is where it's all about you and your burning questions. Remember, if you do have any questions, stick them in those social channels and we'll make sure we get round to them. Just like Abdul from Facebook Messenger did, and he asked the following question. He says, my business has been incorrectly associated with credit card charges for another company. Having dug into this for a few months, I don't think this is fraud, but I don't know how to resolve it. Well, unfortunately, the best thing that you need to do there is reach out to the credit solutions that are out there. So you've already been involved in it anyway, because you're actually seeing that the fact that you have the opportunity to go in and see what credits are associated to your business. And normally this is found out because you've tried to obtain some form of a credit, but then you've not been able to actually achieve it. Found out there was a bit of an issue, found out there's a bit of a problem, and then you've circled back to see that there has been some problems there. So whatever platform you're using to find these credit charges that are incorrectly put against you, normally they'll have some sort of solution or some sort of option there to be able to go and get this rectified. Most of the time, it's probably a paid-for solution, some sort of premium option relating to that platform, but it's well worth it to protect you and protect everything that you need to be able to protect. So I highly recommend just utilizing the time, having a look at it, and trying to find what options are available for you in terms of going from there. Other than that, the only other thing you can do is, if you do know what that credit card charges was for in terms of kind of the credit card facility, you could write them a letter explaining them that this isn't your business, that this looks like it's someone else's, and see if there is anything that can be done from that way. But yeah, my personal opinion on it is, if it's something that's affecting you and you need to get it sorted ASAP, then do look into those premium options. That's what they're there for. That should give you the opportunity to go in there and get everything all done and dusted. So good luck with that, Abdul, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you can get things sorted. Oscar on Instagram DM, remember, if you got any questions, don't forget to put them in the question box below. I prepare my accounts in USD because USD is the functional currency. Does QuickBooks have bridging software to allow the change from USD to GBD to submit electronically? Well, you don't need to worry about that one bit. In QuickBooks Online, we have the functionality of MultiCurrency built directly into QuickBooks Online itself. The beauty of it is at the very beginning, when you're moved over to MultiCurrency, you get to ask what your home currency is. So in this case, you'd want to put it in USD, and at any point you can recalculate that into GBP if you need to. So yeah, one of the great strengths of QuickBooks Online is its multi-currency functionality, is the opportunity for it to be able to go in there and have a whole manner of different different solutions available when dealing with multi-currency. In fact, only a couple of weeks ago, I did a whole video based on my channel on where multi-currency really sits in QuickBooks at the moment, the limitations, the benefits, everything that goes into a little bit more detail. And basically, to summarize that video, the whole point of QuickBooks Online and multi-currency is to try and make it as simplified as it possibly can. With multi-currency, the most trickiest part is about staying compliant, just as you mentioned here, Oscar. So the idea that, well, how do we make sure that we reinstate stuff into the currency we need to? How do we account for any exchange rates, gains and losses? How do we make sure that we're showing things at the correct date and the correct spot rate per HMRC? And all of those complications that come with having a multi-currency company. Well, the beauty of it is HMRC QuickBooks Online makes that really, really straightforward. HMRC certainly don't, but QuickBooks Online definitely makes sure that it makes it simplified as possible with dealing with multi-currency. So with a click of the button, you can turn multi-currency on, and from there you're able to actually go in, you're able to see multiple aspects of it, of the system in multi-currency, and it brings it down to basically your customer, your supplier, and your bank account, and you choose what currency to show each one of those elements in. And that then simplifies things. So if you've got a customer in euros, you just show it all in euros, and as you pay it off, it will make sure the exchange rate, etc., and the profit and loss is all done for you, keeping it nice and simple. So trust me, Oscar, if you go into the advanced settings, go over to currency, you'll be able to turn multi-currency on, and you'll be in a much better position. So good luck with that one. If you have any more further questions, why not have a look at that video that I mentioned before, or reach out to us here at hello@Boffix. Next question that came in was Damon on Facebook Messenger, and asked the following: how can I add a cost of a product which is not a stock item? I also need to make all my products prices inclusive of VAT at 20%. Can I do this via a bulk edit? The products have integrated from our Shopify website, which is great, but just not complete. The costs are on the website. Okay, so two things to think about here, Damon. And just so everyone's fully understanding of this one, in QuickBooks Online, you have a products and service section. In there, you get to make sure that everything's all accounted for your how much you sell and everything else that goes with it. And also any profit margins you may make. It's a really great feature within QuickBooks Online. The only problem with this is, or the only thing you need to be aware of, is the fact that when you put everything into the stock items and product stock item, suddenly that list can become absolutely overwhelming. There's two parts to remember here, Damon. First one is when you extract that list and bring it into an Excel format, you then can make any changes you need to and then re-import it back into QuickBooks. So in this situation, I'd highly recommend you export that list, make all your adjustments in Excel, go from inclusive to exclusive, put the VAT on it. You can say where your cost of sales are. You can do all of those adjustments you've just mentioned here, and that's going to make things nice and straightforward for you. The next thing I would highly recommend, though, is to really think about what solution or what integration you're using at this moment in time. Because ideally, you want a two-way integration. You want one where if you update something on Shopify, it updates it on QuickBooks. If you update something on QuickBooks, it updates you on Shopify. I mean, you have the option to change that if you need to, but ideally, that's the solution you'd want. Now, QuickBooks acquired a company called OneSAS, and OneSAS does offer integration. Unfortunately, it's just the one way, though, at this point in time, but that could be something for you to look into as maybe a solution that's could work for you. Certainly, I found that with OneSAS, I've been in more control over everything that's happened. And I don't know what solution you're using and what integration you're using, but what was OneSAS, now QuickBooks Connect, is a great solution for you. And it might be something that's going to help you going forward. So fingers crossed, Damon, that will help you be able to make sure that you can get everything integrated nicely, make sure everything's updated. So it's going to help you going forward. But yeah, you can certainly bulk edit. You can certainly get everything through there. It's just an opportunity to export as an Excel spreadsheet and then re-import. Just remember, when you re-import, there's a little tick box at the very bottom left-hand corner saying update existing values. And once you press that button, you will be good to go. My next one is Arbella on Instagram DM asked the following: I saw a TikTok that said I could get a takeaway or small gift for my team as a trivial benefit a few times a year tax-free. Is this a real thing? And yes, it is a real thing. So yes, you do have the opportunity to go out there and get small entertainment elements for your business. realistically, from making sure that you get things in there without having any tax added back or anything like that, you do need to make sure that they are below the £150 figure, and that they are below the elements that could go through for Christmas and all that sort of stuff. If you keep everything below that line, that's normally how we recommend keeping everything nice and away from the tax man itself. But basically, if there is anything else that you do want to start putting in there, so maybe you want to start giving away something like Easter eggs or something like that, then the best thing for you to do is actually go to HMRC and ask them for a dispensation on trivial items. Basically, you can have an agreement with them that you're only going to be paying for this X amount for an Easter egg each, or whatever it's going to be, and you have the opportunity then to make sure that from a dispensation point of view, or from a PLM&D and all those elements point of view, you don't have to actually account for it. So yeah, start utilizing and having those opportunities. Can be a nice way for you to be able to get some tax-free elements over to your staff, especially at times like this where people are feeling isolated, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show. So maybe that's a really good way of keeping people feeling inclusive and part of the team, especially when we don't have as many opportunities to go out and be sociable as we once were. So this could be a really nice way of doing it. So yeah, TikTok's correct in this case. You do have the opportunity to do that, and highly recommend, if you have that, an opportunity to get your team morale that little bit increased as well. So hopefully that answers that question. Kirsten on Twitter DM asked the following: for the matching of VAT payments to HMRC, do you use the VAT control or the VAT suspense categories? Oh, Kirsten, what a great question. So for anyone who doesn't know, in QuickBooks Online, when you post or when you look at your trial balance, you'll see two VAT control accounts essentially for your VAT section. Now, this is if you've got VAT turned on and you're utilizing VAT within QuickBooks Online, but you will notice there are two different distinct accounts. There's the VAT control and the VAT suspense. Now, the reason there's two of them is because they have two distinct ways in which they get used. The VAT control is where all of the VAT elements get put into. So every time you raise a sales invoice or you put a bill or an expense on, you will either see a debit or credit flowing into that VAT control account. And the VAT suspense account is designed to be the account where that VAT liability moves to, or that VAT repayment moves from, to go into that suspense account. So in theory, your VAT suspense account should be the really easy one to be able to reconcile at any point in time. Because in theory, the VAT suspense account should always be what you owe to HMRC or what HMRC owes to you. And it should be that final element that's in there. And if you've paid it off, it should go back to zero, and you should have a zero balance in your VAT suspense. That's in theory. That's if you're up to date with your payments, if HMRC are updating, repaying you, etc., etc. But in theory, whatever you owe or whatever is owed to you should be reflecting in the VAT suspense account. Whereas the VAT control account, well, that's everything else that's there. And basically, there should be a running tally of what VAT you've collected from HMRC and what VAT you've suffered from VAT, and should be a difference in there that's ready to go to HMRC at a different point in time. So your VAT control account should be your running total. Always should be able to go back to how much is over at any point in time, whereas your VAT suspense account should be those liabilities that are sat there as well. So when it comes to making payments to HMRC from the VAT code, and that starts appearing in your bank account, the best place to do that is to post that against VAT suspense. That saying that, though, the most simplified way of doing that is actually using the Make VAT Payment option within your VAT section in QuickBooks Online. From there, you dictate the date, you tell them where it's been paid from, and QuickBooks itself will then automatically match it when it appears for you in the bank account. So try as much as you can to use that Make VAT Payment. That's going to post it into VAT suspense, and that's going to keep things nice and tidy for you. Also means if you go into the VAT Center, you can see how much has been paid of each VAT quarter or month, and that's going to give you an opportunity to see how much you owe in real time as well. So highly recommend it. It's one extra step, but it's a worthwhile extra step just to keep things clean and tidy. But yeah, going forward, VAT suspense is where you're going to be posting your VAT payments to, and you want to be able to reconcile that on a regular basis. Whitney on Facebook Messenger asks the following: I started my own digital consultancy agency last year, but I'm really struggling to get business. I spent a lot of money on Google Ads, but I'm not seeing a lot of conversations from click-throughs. What am I doing wrong? Is there a better way to reach people? Well, unfortunately, Whitney, most of this time, and it is very, very particularly on what industry you're in, but especially on a digital consultancy agency, I don't think that Google Ads is the best place for you to be able to go out there and get the most amount of work. You see, the problem with Google Ads is you're going to be competing with some real big spenders in that world, and it's going to be something where you're going to have to spend a lot of money to get any traction whatsoever. And realistically, that's not also probably not targeting the company. It's not targeting the clients that you actually want to go out there, especially at the beginning, especially when you're starting out. You want to be finding like-minded clients who are going through the same issues as you. And you know, as a digital consultancy agency, that your digital aspect, your digital print is so important to you and your business. So what we recommend and what we try and encourage our clients to do is, roll your sleeves up and get on those social media bandwagons. Look at doing TikTok, if that's going to be applicable to your age demographic. Look at doing Instagram, look at doing Twitter. Find which social channel works for you and then start double down on it. See, for me and for our practice, we found YouTube to be the best social platform for our business and for what we wanted to do. And it wasn't until we doubled down on YouTube that we were able to actually find the clients and everything that was really worthwhile for us. What you'll find is if you double down and you put your spin on it and you put your element to your social platform as you go forward, you're going to find like-minded clients that are going to work really well together. Whereas if you're just paying for Google and you're trying to get your SEO as high as possible, you're just going to be left with basically people who have Googled digital agency, which may not be the sort of client you want, especially at the beginning where you're trying to find your feet, you're trying to get your established and you're trying to everything else. And you've already said that you're not getting successful at this point in time. To me, I think you need to look at your social strategy, have a look at opportunities from that, have a bit of fun with it as well as much as you possibly can. You'll find that there'll be one particular social platform out there that works really well for you. Maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's Twitter, who knows? But just have a go at all of them, have a go to see what fits for you, then double down on the one that you find in the most results in. And for me, then you'll be able to learn, and maybe even what you'll also find at some point as well is how you can take what you've learned from those other social platforms and you'll be able to move them into the other platform as well. And for me, that's definitely something that was difficult for me to understand because I went down the same route as you, started looking at Google AdWords and all that sort of stuff. And it wasn't until it kind of clicked about the social platforms and how we can use social media to really improve that it comes well. The other thing as well with your kind of business there with digital consultancy and everything else and the sort of clients you're probably after at the beginning, then they're going to really appreciate the fact that you've had to go down the same route. You're going to be able to have that conversation with them and understand them. For me, one of the conversation topics I'm having a lot with clients at the moment is about recovery, is about trying to get back into where they were pre-COVID and trying to build up their business back to those old days. And lots of those conversation topics is about, well, let's learn what we've learned through lockdown. Let's understand how social media was so important to us during lockdown for making digital sales and making remote sales and everything else. And the fact we've had to roll up our sleeves and try and fight for it and everything else that went with it. Well, what we're doing a lot at the moment is trying to convince our clients to stick to those strategies, stick to what worked, understand and take away all the information that came from it. And if you're going to be able to have those conversations with your clients as well about how you had to pivot, how you had to understand, how you had to reinvent yourself almost on social media or however it's going to be for you to achieve it, you're going to be able to have really good, insightful conversations and you're going to be more relatable to your clients going forward. So having the opportunity to roll up your sleeves and get down in the trenches with the rest of your clients could be really, really useful for you. And you know what? It's going to be something you'll be able to learn some more skills for as well. So fingers crossed for you, Whitney. Hopefully you'll have the opportunity. And I promise you, if you kind of dig deep enough into one of those social media platforms and really find your own solution there, you'll hit a gold vein at some point. And with that, then, that is the end of today's session. So during the session, we did ask you to have a poll and we would love to see what the results are. I've got those results just coming through now. And basically ask you the question, are you going to be registered and are you registered for QuickBooks Connect? 50% of you roughly said yes, while the other 50% of you said no. Really want to make sure that gets up there going forward. I promise you QuickBooks Connect is going to be a great conference going forward. I've already told you about some of the things to look out for in there. just even seeing Stephen Bartlett himself, I think will be worthwhile. And there'll be some extra elements on there to get you there. So I promise you, you will walk away from Get Connected, QuickBooks Connect, say, in learning stuff that you probably didn't know before. So it's definitely worthwhile reaching out to that. So yeah, please do get yourself involved with QuickBooks Connect. Use the links that we've put in the channels below. Get yourself connected, and you'll definitely find a worthwhile endeavor. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. If you want to get in contact with me, then please do email me on hello@boffix.com or go join my YouTube channel, especially with this season as well. As soon as I know anything about something that's been reacted to or been announced, I'll be making sure we get some content up there. So it's definitely a good time to be subscribed to the channel. Coming up in our expert tomorrow is Toby Azar, founder of My Bump Pay, an online platform to help women smash the glass ceiling with a baby on the way and beyond. Tune in to learn about changing the culture around working mums for International Women's Day. And I can't wait for that one tomorrow. Should be a really great session. Especially at the moment with International Women's Day, I know that Asset Expert's got some really great content lined up. So get yourself subscribed to this channel. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. A quick reminder that if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts, just like myself, on hand 24/7. We're always answering your questions, so get yourself involved. And as I said at the beginning about getting involved in community, well, that's a great community to start off in. I've really enjoyed answering your questions this morning. Have a wonderful day. I'm sure I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.